The 17 Sustainable Development Goals serve as a beacon of hope and a roadmap for common action to create a more equitable, more just, and more sustainable world. Now, at the midway point, it is essential that we take stock of our progress and assess the remaining challenges that confront us. Such assessment is a necessary basis for charting a course of success to ensure that we, the United Nations, keep faith with the bold undertaking we gave to the world in 2015, that no one is left behind. Today's summit therefore provides a unique platform for us to recommit to the 2030 agenda. I therefore encourage you to use this opportunity for peer learning, to share your experiences, forge partnerships, and put forth innovative ideas that can help drive meaningful change. However, let us be clear, Excellencies. A combination of factors, including the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, impacts of climate change, and the war in Ukraine, have presented a series of complex and intersecting crises. And while this has dramatically altered the trajectory of the entire world, it is, as is too often the case, those in the most precarious circumstances who are already most vulnerable suffer the most. This includes countries in special situations, small island developing states, least developed countries, and landlocked developing countries. The most vulnerable in our communities, including women and girls, young people, persons with disabilities, older persons, and indigenous people, have not been spared and are at the foremost receiving end of these crises. Despite commitments to eradicate poverty and to reduce hunger being at the core of this agenda, alarmingly, 1.2 billion people were still living in multidimensional poverty as of 2022. It is estimated that approximately 8% of global population, or 680 million people, will still be facing hunger in 2030. Can we accept these numbers? Or, because they make us uncomfortable, should we pretend they do not exist and carry on with business as usual? Surely we cannot. To do so would amount to being reckless. Rather, we must do more to lift people sustainably out of poverty and hunger, not merely because it is the right thing to do in the name of humanity, but also because to do nothing would be to fan the flames of discord and conflict with well-known terrible consequences. Excellencies, while there have been setbacks, we cannot relent in our resolve and determination to do our utmost to rescue the SDGs, as we have been challenged by the Secretary General. The fact that we are lagging in our promise cannot be the death knell of our blueprint, nor should this summit be a forum to point fingers, apportion blame, and certainly not to accept defeat. Instead, bold and transformative actions must be prioritized to support the well-being of our global constituents, particularly those left farthest behind. This is our moment to rededicate ourselves to the SDGs and to reinvigorate progress across the entirety of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The 2023 Global Sustainable Development Report outlines clear steps in that regard. It recommends an ambitious SDG push scenario to improve social protection, strengthen governance, promote a green economy, and address digital disruption while improving access to quality education and healthcare in a human rights setting. With concerted, ambitious action, it is still possible that by 2030, we could lift 124 million additional people out of poverty and ensure that some 113 million fewer people are malnourished. Such achievements would also generate gains across the other goals related to health, nutrition, and education. Adequate investment in the SDGs is therefore a win-win for all, with cross-cutting and knock-on benefits reverberating across the globe, positively impacting every society and every community. Excellencies, I urge you to make this strategic investment in the SDGs through effective domestic resource mobilization, accompanied by fulfillment of the targets set for the inflow of official development assistance and productive partnerships with the private sector. We must reform the international financial architecture to promote affordable, stable, long-term financing for sustainable development across the global south, where development has been in perpetual deficit. The Financing for Development Dialogue and the Summit of the Future are both key opportunities to continue pushing this reform agenda, bearing in mind the urgent need to address the worsening gap for financing the SDGs. Excellencies, by delivering meaningful change to the lives of so many, we can demonstrate that the UN not only hears the demands of those in difficult situations, but more importantly, that these needs will not go unmet. Renewed faith in us by the many who depend on us will help to restore our credibility, trust, and ultimately a sense of confidence that UN-led multilateralism delivers. We must remember the world is watching. Our 8 billion constituents are looking to us for a signal that we will keep our promises and that we are alive to the reality that we have only 7 years left before 2030. They want and deserve full reassurance that we altogether recognize the circumstantial setbacks that so many have experienced and continue to endure, and that we stand ready to support them in their time of acute need. And most importantly, that we see the heightened sense of urgency, and we are all prepared as world leaders gather here today to raise our ambition and recommit to meaningfully delivering the 2030 Agenda and its 17 SDGs. With that in mind, I challenge you all to demonstrate emboldened leadership by using this summit to announce groundbreaking commitments to support and to complete the 2030 Agenda. I call for your support to the political declaration, negotiations for which were skillfully led by Qatar and Ireland, to whom I extend my grateful thanks and that of the membership. I sincerely believe that the declaration represents the most ideal common denominator for the overwhelming majority of members. Adoption of a strong declaration at this summit will herald the start of a new phase of accelerated progress to achieve the SDGs by 2030. As we navigate the challenges ahead, the SDGs will remain a true blueprint for humanity and will continue to be our guideposts to deliver peace, prosperity, progress, and sustainability for all peoples everywhere. As the late former Secretary General Kofi Annan once said, we must work tirelessly to achieve a better world that is free from fear and free from want. I thank you. It is now my honor to invite His Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, to deliver a statement.
Mr. President of the General Assembly, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. 8 years ago, Member States gathered in the hall to adopt the Sustainable Development Goals. With the world watching, including 193 young people in the balcony holding blue lamps of hope, you made a solemn promise. A promise to build a world of health, progress and opportunity for all. A promise to leave no one behind. And a promise to pay for it. This was not a promise made to one another as diplomats from the comfort of this chamber. It was always a promise to people. People crushed under the grinding wheels of poverty. People starving in a world of plenty. Children denied a seat in a classroom. Families fleeing conflict, seeking a better life. Parents watching helplessly as their children die of preventable disease. People losing hope because they can't find a job or a safety net when they need it. Entire communities literally on devastation's doorstep because of changing climate. So the SDGs aren't just a list of goals. They carry the hopes, dreams, rights and expectations of people everywhere. And they provide the surest path to living up to our obligations under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, now in its 75th year. Yet today, only 15% of the targets are on track, and many are going in reverse. Instead of leaving no one behind, we risk leaving the SDGs behind. So, Excellencies, the SDGs need a global rescue plan. And I'm deeply encouraged by the detailed and wide-ranging draft political declaration under consideration here today, especially its commitment to improving developing countries' access to the fuel required for SDG progress, finance. This includes clear support for an SDG stimulus of at least $500 billion a year, as well as an effective debt relief mechanism that supports payment suspensions, longer lending terms, and lower rates. It includes a call to recapitalize and change the business model of multilateral development banks so they can massively leverage private finance at affordable rates to benefit developing countries. And it includes the endorsement of the need to reform the international financial architecture that I consider outdated, dysfunctional, and unfair. This can be a game changer in accelerating SDG progress. I have been calling for a new Bretton Woods moment and the development of practical solutions by the Summit of the Future next September. But countries can act right now to get the SDGs on track. Together with businesses and financial institutions, local authorities, the UN development system and more, you have helped point the way with high-impact initiatives to support 6 targeted areas where urgent transitions are needed. First, we must take action on hunger. In our world of plenty, hunger is a shocking stain on humanity and an epic human rights violation. It is an indictment of every one of us that millions of people are starving in this day and age. Building on July's Food System Summit stocktake, we are marshalling finance, science, data, innovations and policy and governance support to help countries transform food systems so all people can access a healthy and nutritious diet. Second, the transition to renewable energy isn't happening fast enough. We are putting forward new energy compacts in which governments, businesses and global organizations join forces to invest in decarbonizing energy systems and ensuring a just and equitable transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy. Third, the benefits and opportunities of digitalization are not being spread widely enough. To close the divide, we have launched an initiative to spur digital transformation across 100 countries, supporting stronger technology capacities, better governance and innovative financing. Our proposed Global Digital Compact will also help countries build safe digital systems that provide internet access for all, including students in hard-to-reach communities. Quatrièmement, trop d'enfants et de jeunes pâtissent d'une éducation de mauvaise qualité ou ne reçoivent aucune éducation. Nous devons bâtir de véritables sociétés apprenantes, ancrées dans une éducation de qualité et notamment sur la formation continue dès le plus jeune âge et tout au long de la vie, réduisant la fracture numérique et soutenant les enseignants à chaque étape. Un groupe émergent de pays pionniers montre la voie pour stimuler les investissements et transformer les systèmes éducatifs du monde entier. Cinquièmement, chaque personne a besoin d'un travail décent et d'une protection sociale. Grâce à la collaboration avec les gouvernements et le secteur privé, notre accélérateur mondial pour l'emploi et la protection sociale pour des transitions justes vise à créer 400 millions de nouveaux emplois décents, en particulier dans l'économie verte, les services à la personne et l'économie numérique, ainsi qu'à étendre la protection sociale à plus de 4 milliards de personnes.
Fifth, people need decent work and social protection. Working with governments and the private sector, our global accelerator on jobs and social protection for just transitions aims to create 400 million new decent jobs, especially in the green, care and digital economies, and extend social protection to over 4 billion people.
Le besoin d'assurer une égalité totale entre les hommes et les femmes est au cœur de toutes ces transitions. Il est grand temps de mettre fin à la discrimination, de garantir la pleine participation des femmes et des filles à la prise de décision et de mettre fin au fléau des violences fondées sur le genre. Excellences, à mi-parcours de l'échéance pour la réalisation des objectifs de développement durable, les yeux du monde sont de nouveau rivés sur vous. Au cours du week-end, des jeunes et des groupes de la société civile se sont rendus à l'ONU ou défilé à travers le monde pour réclamer une action urgente. L'heure est venue de prouver que vous êtes à leur écoute. Nous pouvons réussir si nous agissons maintenant, si nous agissons ensemble, si nous tenons notre promesse envers les milliards de personnes dont les espoirs, les rêves et l'avenir sont entre vos mains. L'heure est venue et je vous remercie.